One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. The great question that has never been answered, and which I have not yet been able to answer, despite my 30 years of research into the feminine soul, is: what does a woman want? He that has eyes to see and ears to hear may convince himself that no mortal can keep a secret. If his lips are silent, he chatters with his fingertips. Betrayal oozes out of him at every pore. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love. A woman should soften, but not weaken a man. Experience teaches us that the world is not a nursery. It is impossible to escape the impression that people commonly use false standards of measurement. It is that we are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love, never so helplessly unhappy as when we have lost our loved object or its love. Religion is an attempt to get control over the sensory world in which we are placed by means of the wish world, which we have developed inside us as a result of biological and psychological necessities. In the depths of my heart, I can't help being convinced that my dear fellow men, with a few exceptions, are worthless. Neurotics complain of their illness, but they make the most of it. And when it comes to taking it away from them, they will defend it like a lioness her young. The ego is not master in its own house. The ego refuses to be distressed by the provocations of reality, to let itself be compelled to suffer. The pleasure of satisfying a savage instinct, undomesticated by the ego, is incomparably much more intense than the one of satisfying a tamed instinct. Every normal person, in fact, is only normal on the average. His ego approximates to that of the psychotic in some part or other, and to a greater or lesser extent. Children are completely egoistic. They feel their needs intensely and strive ruthlessly to satisfy them. The poor ego has a still harder time of it. It has to serve three harsh masters, and it has to do its best to reconcile the claims and demands of all three. At the height of being in love, the boundary between ego and object threatens to melt away. The virtuous man contents himself with dreaming that which the wicked man does in actual life. The interpretation of dreams. We are what we are because we have been what we have been. Dreams with a painful content are to be analyzed as the fulfillments of wishes. Dream disfigurement, then, turns out in reality to be an act of the censor. Dreams tell us many an unpleasant biological truth about ourselves, and only very free minds can thrive on such a diet. The scope of one's personality is defined by the magnitude of that problem which is capable of driving a person out of his wits. When inspiration does not come to me, I go halfway to meet it. Love and work. Work and love, that's all there is. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. Out of your vulnerabilities will come your strength. No one who, like me, conjures up the most evil of those half-tamed demons that inhabit the human breast, and seeks to wrestle with them, can expect to come through the struggle unscathed. America is the most grandiose experiment the world has seen, but, I am afraid, it is not going to be a success. We choose not randomly each other. We meet only those who already exist in our subconscious. Beauty has no obvious use, nor is there any clear cultural necessity for it. Yet civilization could not do without it. Just as no one can be forced into belief, so no one can be forced into unbelief.
Like the video and subscribe to the channel and say which quote you like in the comments.